and frame the question that it is supported by facts and not disinformation.
Okay, stop right there. Did you catch that? That's just not political spin. That's a legal grenade dropped in the middle of Alberta's independence movement. Hey, my name is Dan, and welcome back to Unfiltered, where we cut through the noise and say what most legacy media outlets won't. If you like this kind of real grassroots conversation, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We're pushing to hit 2,500 subscribers by the end of May, and every click helps. If you've got a tip or story, just want to sound off, shoot me an email at grassrootsalberta@gmail.com. All right, let's get into it. Lots to cover today. Former Deputy Premier Thomas Lukaszuk just filed an official petition with Elections Alberta, but here's the twist. It's not about separating, it's about staying in Canada. And if he gets it certified, it could block any pro-independence petition from ever hitting the ballot for at least 5 years. This isn't just a power move. It might be checkmate.
The importance is that the Act says that the Elections Commissioner will review applications in the order that they were filed. And so if the first application filed meets the legal requirements of initiating a citizens' initiative, then that will be the application that will be processed and will proceed. Only in the case that the first application is rejected for some technical reasons, then they would go to the second application.
So apparently he's first in line, potentially first to be processed, and unless his petition is rejected, nobody else gets a turn, and that includes those pushing for separation.
I have filed an application with Elections Alberta to have a petition in Alberta on that question. And if we get enough signatures, which I have no doubt in my mind that we will have a referendum in this province, but not about separating, about staying in Canada.
Lukaszuk is flipping the narrative. Not should we leave, but should we stay? That subtle shift, it's a full-on frame of control play.
What I decided to do is to take that task on and frame the question and make sure that it is supported by facts and not disinformation.
And that right there, positioning himself as the rational one, the voice of reason, while painting the separation movement as reckless or misinformed.
And you believe this is checkmate, at least for now?
Well, I believe so, because I'm not asking Premier Smith to pass Bill 54 for me and make it easier on me with lower number of signatures and more time to gather signatures. I said, no, I'll file my application before Bill 54 is proclaimed, because I have confidence that there are enough Albertans that will sign this petition. As a matter of fact, I don't want to meet the minimum number of signatures. I would like to quadruple that.
That right there is confidence. That's a challenge. No help from Premier, no waiting for a legal shortcut. He's going full tilt and betting Albertans will back him in massive numbers. So now the question isn't, will Alberta separate? It's, will Albertans even get to ask the question at all? And while Lukaszuk's working on the legal angles, one voice from Alberta's past is making his position crystal clear. If this feels more honest than legacy media, it's because, well, it is. Tap that subscribe button, help us hit 2,500 by the end of May, and share this video to get the word out. Okay, I wasn't even going to touch this one, but then Nenshi, now the Alberta NDP leader, decided to drop what he clearly thought was a political mic drop moment. The title, Albertans Deserve Better Than a Separatist Premier Chasing Clout with Extremists. Yeah, he really went there. He says Danielle Smith is risking the entire country to save her own political skin, and that Alberta has none of the things a good government should deliver. The link to the full 60-second video is in the description for context. Let's break down what he's accusing the Premier of. Let's get going. Let's roll the first clip.
We deserve so much better. We deserve better as Albertans. We deserve a government that's good at governing, that's going to fix healthcare and education.
We deserve a government that's good at governing. What does that even mean? That's the kind of phrase that sounds great on a lawn sign, but collapses under a flashlight. Governing isn't about slogans, it's about results. And you know what's really funny? When Nenshi was mayor of Calgary, Calgary's budget expanded annually, residential property taxes surged by over 50%, and major transit projects like the Green Line LRT face significant delays and revisions. Governing is messy. The real question is, are things being done? Nenshi says we've got none of that. Nothing. Well, let's look at education first. $9.9 billion into the education budget, 122 new schools either underway or approved, 4,000 new educational staff. So no, it's not perfect, but you can't say it's nothing. Let's move on to healthcare. The UCP government is dismantling and decentralizing AHS, a bold move that aims to streamline frontline delivery. Yeah, wait times are still too long, absolutely. But reforms are in progress. You can criticize how it's being done, sure, but pretending there's no action, that's just willful ignorance.
It's going to make sure our economy creates decent jobs for people, that really affects the cost of living, that brings down auto insurance premiums and electricity bills.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack here because this is where Nenshi really piles it on. Let's start with jobs. Alberta added over 130,000 new jobs. We lead the country in the labor force participation, and our unemployment rate is lower than Ontario's. Alberta's unemployment rate sits at about 7.1%, Ontario's 7.8, highlighting the province's robust job market. Let's move on to the cost of living. Alberta's fuel tax relief program, it saved drivers over $2 billion since its introduction in 2022. Adjusting the provincial fuel sales tax based on oil prices when WTI is above $90 a barrel, it's 13 cents a liter, fully suspended, providing significant relief at the pump. Indexing personal income brackets to inflation, while the province's direct affordability payments like the $100 a month program for families and seniors did end in 2023, Alberta continues to offer ongoing relief through broader cost of living programs. Seniors receive monthly support through the Alberta Seniors Benefit, Families Benefit from the Alberta Child and Family Benefit, and vulnerable Albertans remain covered under programs like AISH and income support. Look, I know it's not perfect, but to say nothing is being done ignores the very real ongoing support that is being provided. How about insurance and power bills? Yeah, absolutely. They're still high. I get it. I pay it. But there are rebates, caps, and regulatory changes in play. Bottom line, saying nothing is happening is like saying a rainstorm doesn't count because your driveway's still wet. Look, it's happening. Maybe just not how you'd like to have it happen, but it is happening.
That builds housing. Right now, we have none of those.
During this government's term, it's had 46,000 housing starts, one of the highest in Canada, and on top of that, over $1 billion earmarked for affordable housing partnerships launched with private developers, municipalities to accelerate builds. Now, is there a crisis? Yes, but to suggest that the government is doing nothing is disingenuous. If you're going to throw rocks, at least acknowledge the scaffolding that's going up. And here's the moment that he overplayed his hand. We have none of those. Come on, that's not bold, that's just false. When you claim Alberta's doing nothing on everything, you sound more like a Twitter thread than a premier in waiting, Mr. Nenshi.
So Albertans, don't be fooled. She's not trying to get a better deal from Ottawa. She's not really trying to address Alberta's legitimate grievances. She's just trying to save her own skin.
I had to rewind that one a few times. He actually says Danielle Smith isn't trying to get a better deal from Ottawa. Let's just take a look and see what's on the table. Alberta sovereignty within the United Canada Act. Legal challenges on equalization, federal emission caps. She is fighting those too. Calls for Alberta to collect its own taxes, oversee immigration, and assert constitutional powers. Look, whether you agree or not, you can't say she's not trying. That's just a lie, plain and simple. And since we're on the topic of good governance, let's talk about what happened the last time the Alberta NDP was at the helm here in Alberta. Alberta taxpayer-supported debt went from $11 billion to $62 billion. Corporate tax hikes, 10 to 12%. Bill 6 alienated farmers across this province. How about minimum wage? Yes, it did go up to $15 an hour, But 23,000 youth jobs vanished. Capital investment dropped by nearly 50%. Healthcare wait times, they remained long, but zero system-wide innovation. Nenshi talks like the NDP are the adults in the room. Last time they were at the wheel, we skidded off the road as a province into the ditch. So was Nenshi being bold or just desperate? I'm going to let you decide. But if you're tired of empty sound bites that collapse under scrutiny, then do what the legacy media hopes you don't do. And that's hit like, subscribe, and make sure you share this video with someone who's ready for the facts even when they're inconvenient. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be in Red Deer tomorrow at the Independence Town Hall at the Resort and Conference Center. Starts tomorrow in Red Deer. We'll be getting on-the-ground reaction to Lukaszuk's petition and what the movement's leaders think about that. So if you're in the local area, hopefully I'll see you in Red Deer. Please make sure you come up and say hello. Now, if you're not going to be in Red Deer, make sure you're subscribed, because the next episodes coming up will be real voices and raw reaction straight from that event's floor. Thanks for watching Unfiltered.